This is Retro Action Rewind, and today we're counting down our top 5 favorite sci-fi films. Science fiction films have a long history dating back to the very inception of movies themselves. Inevitably, there have been some pretty awful examples along the way, but more on that later. There have also been some pretty freaking good ones. Are these 5 movies objectively the best ever made? Of course not, I just like them. And that's as good as it gets over here. So without further ado, let's get started. The Alien franchise really captivated me for a while when I was younger. The first film specifically. It wasn't just science fiction, it was horror, and one of the first horror films I ever got to see for that matter. Geiger's Xenomorph was a perfect fit for the movie and setting because it really does feel alien. It can't be compared to anything else. Alien to me will always be one of the great milestones in film, often imitated, never recreated. I enjoy John Carpenter's The Thing for many of the same reasons I enjoy Alien, and I found it around the same time. It has an alien, practical effects, a strong sense of isolation, and a small group of people struggling to survive. If I had to pick one that frightens me the most, I'd probably say The Thing. Never knowing if you're talking to your friend or a monster beats being hunted outright by one in my book any day. I usually consider T2 to be an action movie before being a science fiction, but it is of course both. Hard to ignore the killer robots and time travel, you know? Terminator was a great movie, but Terminator 2 just cranks everything to 11. There's some really phenomenal acting that really sells the high-stakes nature of what they're trying to accomplish. I had never seen much Star Trek growing up, not because I didn't know about it, as much as the pacing of the shows and movies never really held my attention for long. After the 2009 reboot movie hit theaters, I wanted to explore the world a bit more and checked out the original films. Wrath of Khan really jumped out at me, and I've gone on to watch it many times since. These days, I've seen most of the movies and most of the shows to boot. Khan made a fan out of me. Full disclaimer, I almost always make the argument that Star Wars isn't so much sci-fi as it is space fantasy, but today I'm going to ignore all that because it's my video and you can't stop me. I love Star Wars, I really do. So much of what we like as kids fades from our attention over the years, becoming nothing more than memories, but for me, my love of Star Wars has actually only grown. As far as which is my favorite, it's probably a toss-up between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, but because Empire always impressed me by how much they seem to fit into one movie, I'm gonna say Episode 5. Reasons? Probably Vader, Luke, Hoth, Yoda, lightsabers, Star Destroyers. I'm pretty sure I'll be back to talk about Star Wars later, so that's enough for now. I know I said this was a top 5, but halfway through writing it, I remembered that Back to the Future was a thing, and I couldn't leave that off. I don't usually think of Back to the Future as a trilogy as much as one long story, and that's typically how I watch it too. Either all at once or one a day for 3 days. We picked it up years and years ago on VHS at a dollar store, and it's gotta be the best thrift store purchase I've ever made. I love being able to watch it again and again, dozens of viewings later, and still pick up on new things I never noticed before.